Alright, and welcome to the more or less 10-minute show.
So, today's topic is related to the one we showed last week, about different cultures in the same city.
It's clear that with the multiculturality and globalization we are suffering nowadays, it's easy to find new kinds of families that share and mix different cultures.
And languages, of course. Deal complementary learning and teaching different languages not taught in schools.
This may help to develop communication skills in an easier way or not, but it is clear that at some point those children may become plurilingual at some time.
Then, how could we teach languages in schools in a way that we would take into consideration the previous knowledge of those students who are plurilingual and those who aren't?
Clearly, we bet on translanguaging as a way to develop the plurilingual competence successfully among students, taking into account their mother tongue as a reference.
But wait, how should we teach languages in order to make students plurilingually competent through translanguaging?
Let's find out.
Let's say I think I master 3 languages, Spanish, Catalan and English. I learnt English because I was born in London and was educated there. Learnt Spanish because both my parents are from Spain. They immigrated to London and they spoke to me in a mixture of English and Spanish. And I suppose the 3rd language, Catalan, I have mastered since I've been living here in Catalonia now for over 20 years.
L'alemany, l'anglès, el català, el castellà i el francès. L'alemany el vaig aprendre perquè vaig néixer allà a Alemanya i llavors ho parlava amb la meva mare. L'anglès allà mateix, doncs al col·legi també me'l van ensenyar i el vaig aprendre allà. El català, quan vaig venir cap aquí, als 18 anys, clar, vaig aprendre doncs, la llengua d'aquí. I el castellà també, el mateix, amb la meva mare també parlàvem castellà i llavors també em va donar, vaig aprendre una mica amb la meva mare i al venir aquí doncs el vaig reforçar. I el francès, perquè vaig fer un curs durant l'estiu i vaig aprendre una mica.
El castellano cuando llegué aquí, en el 99. El italiano porque llevaba 2 años ahí viviendo. Y el francés, el inglés, lo he estudiado 14 años, 15 años.
Combination of Spanish and English. I'm an English teacher here, so I use English when I teach. I use English at home when I speak to my children, and the rest of the time I use Spanish or Catalan.
Amb la Patrícia ara li estic parlant alemany perquè vull que el recuperi, perquè de petita sí que li parlava amb l'alemany i després hi vam passar al català i ara li torno a parlar amb l'alemany perquè vull que recuperi l'alemany. A la feina, doncs, per la feina que allà on estic, doncs, treballo amb alemany pràcticament, amb alguns companys de feina, català o castellà, depèn de quin idioma parlin ells. Amb el fill que tinc li parlo català i amb la meva parella actual doncs també parlo català.
Francés lo utilizo con Sam y a veces el trabajo. El inglés con mi hermano porque vive en Estados Unidos y él domina más el inglés ahora que el Wolof. Y el Wolof pues con la familia que está en Senegal. Y el castellano pues el trabajo. Y el catalán me obligan también a veces, porque a veces tengo cliente que por narices tengo que utilizar el catalán, porque si no quedo mal.
A veure, amb els 2 fills, doncs, des de que van néixer fins als 12 anys els he parlat l'alemany. A partir dels 12 anys que em vaig separar de la parella, amb la Patrícia li vaig continuar, i amb l'Adrià també, li vaig parlar el català, i ara amb la Patrícia estem intentant, com ja he dit abans, doncs...
Amb el Sam, jo personalment utilitzo les 2 llengües simultànies, el català i el castellà. Y al Dan, li parla...
Yo, por ejemplo, con él, cuando estamos solos, solo le hablo francés. y cuando estamos con su madre, entonces hablamos el castellano y el francés, las dos cosas mezcladas.
El Sam amb la seva àvia parla el castellà i amb el seu
Well,
avi...
let's see, to maintain, I wouldn't say maintain, but to start off having a third language in the house. When my children were born, I decided from day one that I would only ever speak to them in English. One day, suddenly, that's it. It was like the light was switched on and they started out saying everything in English, and from then, that was it. There was never really any going back to speaking Catalan or answering me in Catalan or Spanish.
Amb el Sam sempre tens el dubte, si veiem que és un nen espavilat, sempre tens el dubte si ho està aprenent o no. I amb un any i mig, anant a l'acadèmia d'anglès, em va fer gràcia que estava al menjador i ella a la seva habitació i va començar a dir "Mami, where are you, mami?" Vaig veure que no només repetia l'idioma, sinó que realment l'entenia i l'aprenia.
Yo más o menos el francés también lo que hago es, muchas veces pensaba que no está aprendiendo y cuando le hablo francés, él me contesta en castellano y yo digo, a lo mejor no lo sabe hablar. Entonces un día le digo, si no me contesta en francés, ya no te hablo más francés o no vamos al parque. Entonces empiezo a hablar con él, pero frases que nunca le he hablado y me contesta. Y entonces cuando yo realmente sé que él está aprendiendo y él...
They really had a great difficulty learning other languages, but they were late to talk, and this tends to happen with bilingual children, and even more so with trilingual children. They start talking later. I remember very often the primary school teacher saying to me, "I don't understand your kids because they speak, in one sentence, they speak English, Spanish and Catalan. They completely mix it up." And it was because obviously in P3, P4, having had so many languages or being surrounded by so many languages, they weren't too clear about who they had to speak a certain language with. And I think that continued until they were perhaps in P4, P5. Then they knew, okay, at school it's Catalan, with my dad it's Spanish, and with my mum
Jo
it's
penso que al
English.
contrari, perquè quan tens diversos idiomes ja que s'ha après materns, tant pel pare com per la mare, tens més facilitat d'aprendre més idiomes. Llavors, amb l'anglès, jo crec que han tingut bastanta facilitat d'aprendre l'anglès.
El principal propòsit, almenys pel que fa a la part francesa, és que es pugui comunicar bé amb la seva família senegalesa. És el principal. I després pels beneficis que comporta l'aprendre idiomes, poder anar a l'estranger, se li obren oportunitats a l'hora de la feina. Vaja, és una de les coses que jo admiro d'ell.
Yo, por ejemplo, le utilizo que cuanto más idiomas para él mejor, porque en mi faena mismo le estoy notando que cuanto más idiomas sabe, más oportunidad tiene en todos los sentidos.
You know, the more you know in this life, the better your options are. The easier life is for you, and learning is always a good thing. It's great to speak English, especially here in Spain, where young people need a very good level of English, and these days you can't graduate from university if you don't have first certificate, for example. So kids, young people do need to have a good level.
I speak Catalan, Spanish, English and Italian. I've learned English at home, and I've also learned Catalan and Spanish at home. I speak Catalan with my sister, Spanish with my father and English with my mother. I also learned Italian when I was in Italy with my friends. I've been there many times, and I also have a lot of Italian friends living here.
Bueno, domino el català i el castellà, l'alemany, que ma mare em va parlar quan era petita, i l'anglès, una mica.
Yes, I consider that I have a better communicative competence by knowing these different languages, just because I have a big repertoire of resources with all the grammar and vocabulary I have, and I consider that I am better at switching languages and translating, for instance, or if I'm trying to look for an appropriate or accurate word, then I can think of the huge vocabulary that I have and try to find like similar words.
I've actually learned French at school for 3 years in ESO, and it was difficult for me to learn French. I don't remember much of it, so I haven't got a good level. But yeah, it was difficult for me to learn a new language that I didn't learn at home or whatever. But that didn't happen for me in Italian. It was very easy for me to learn Italian from the first moment, and eventually in about a year, moving around with Italian people, I could maintain conversations perfectly, and I can still do it, but not in French.
Regarding the interviews analysis, immersion is the best way to teach and learn a language competently. Promoting immersion, we are valuing cultural resources which include songs, literature, movies, etc. These linguistic tools provide real context in which the communication has an effective meaning, since it's the language of a relative. Even though sometimes it is easier to speak the most spoken language, we have to value and take care of all the existing languages. We cannot give up on teaching the minoritized language because we want to achieve plurilingual competence.
These are the results of the surveys. The first survey completed by English teachers in public primary schools. All the teachers use textbooks and their methodology consists of diverse activities with different material. The class distribution is both whole group and small group. It depends on the situation and activity. The instruction is based on TBI and the clear approach is followed in the subject of science and in interdisciplinary and transversal activities. The methodology promotes the communicative competence. The teachers that work in language academies always use textbooks and extra resource material. The distribution is in whole group and there are more than 5 students per class. They use CBI and TBI and they promote real communication in class in order to develop the communicative competence.
In the end, the benefits or advantages that we have found in each research way of teaching languages are different depending on the context, but they all have the same aim: to develop real communicative skills and to be competent in native and foreign languages. As we said, we bet on translanguaging. This is easier and meaningful for us to learn, but we need to combine it in order to success with some of the following strategies proved in home immersion, school curriculum, and language academies methods, such as constant interaction, individualized attention, creating real situations of communication, preferably with same-age peers in small groups, overcoming specific limitations to enhance metacognition, emphasize TBI practice, and to use textbooks as a support and not as a reference, among others.
So as we have seen in the conclusions, our proposal may be differentiated in 3 levels, such as class, school, or relation. In the class level,
teachers and students must develop diverse communicative strategies such as drawing, gestures, facial.
All the languages should be taken into consideration and also valued, such as using them in scaffolding, in the murals, in the exposed works.
Additional language immersion using real resources following the TBI and CBI practice.
Cooperative group work involving social interaction among same-age peers, promoting metacognition while developing translanguaging.
Combine all the available computational resources such as videos, textbooks, games, songs.
Teachers must elaborate formal assessment so as to know progress of each pupil being able to adapt the task.
As for the school level, the foreign language teacher must speak the foreign language with all the community.
Promote projects in which real situations are relevant to develop the communicative competence in the minority language.
Foreign language teaching in the classroom shall be done by expert teachers or native teachers. Concerning the government level,
legislation must assure a training and evaluation of the teacher's competence in different languages every year.
Say bye bye.
Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star. Get the show on, get